We always have Roxy sit at every doorway, and especially the front door. We're about to go on a walk. So this is the way the walk starts. Sit. Notice that I had her sit. I stepped out, I stepped back. She waited for me calmly. Okay. She's going to walk through with me without pulling. And if she does even try to go ahead of you a little bit, just do a little tap like that. Okay. Always turn into her, like if you have to turn to close the door like that. Always use your body to show her where to go. Don't go the other way and drag her around because, of course, tight leash is your enemy. So always turn into her like you just saw me do. I'm going to go in and out again because also when she's out in the yard like this, whether it's the front door or the back door, we call her to come, hook her up on her leash. Okay. Have her sit. This is the way she comes in as well. Waits, you cross through the threshold first, and just to accentuate the fact that this is your boundary, not hers. So she's not going to race in after you or race out after you. She waits till you walk back to her. Never, ever, ever call her to you out of a sit stay and through the door because you're just teaching her to chase after you, literally. So she always waits till you come back next to her, and then she walks through with you, okay, respectfully and calmly, without pulling. So that's the way we handle all boundaries. Okay, sit. I'm going to do it again because we're going to go on a walk. Just wanted to show you the going inside part as well. Okay, do another little left turn. And you may notice already all I'm doing are these, she's really anxious because she wants to go on a walk and she's excited, as most dogs would be when they're first going out. The most I'm doing is tapping like that. Turning left, tapping keeps her next to you. It's really easy, it's relaxed. There's no forcing her to stay next to you. No tight leash, because a tight leash will make her more stressed out and more overstimulated, and she's going to pull more. If you pull like this, she's going to pull away from you. Also, it just creates a lot of stress in the dog. So you're tapping and using your body instead of trying to restrain. And now you're going to see us going out that front gate and going out onto the street and doing all our other boundaries out there. Okay, sit. This boundary is just as exciting for most dogs as the front door is, because this is and see how she popped up? Nope. So she's going to make a mistake with you, and see how I'm using my body to step into her. I hope you can see this. Stepped into her, did a little left turn, gently but firmly, just reset her, put her back. And if you had to do this 3 or 4 times, you have to be consistent so that she knows that the sooner she gets it together and calms down, the sooner she gets to go on her walk. She has to make herself calmer. Nope. To go on our walk, she has to be calm. She has to wait until I allow her to walk through the boundary. Okay, just like that. I'm going to do another tap and left turn like that as I go back to close this big gate here. And then we still have another boundary left. We have a curb, and I treat curbs, sit, as very important boundaries, because just think what her perception will be after a while when you're going to cross the street or something. You always treat the curb as a very important boundary where she sits and waits and is calm and doesn't run across out into the street, and she waits till you come back next to her. Okay. And then she walks across the street. She used to run, like she used to pull a lot. So this is really good compared to what we used to have. I'm barely moving now, but I want to show you. See, I'm just tapping, keeping the leash loose. She goes up a little bit ahead of me. I just tap a little bit. I'm walking slow, so she's learned to walk slower and settle down and be calmer. Sit. And over here, now we're going to start our walk. But you see we started at the front door, walked through my yard like this, stopped at the gate, stopped at the curb. If I wasn't talking to you, if I was just doing it, it would take all of 2 minutes to do this. But then we cross the street in training mode, and on the other side of the street, she sits. I pat her chest. See, there's no tight leash. Go, she's free. And then we start our walk, and she's a much calmer dog out here because of the way you start the walk. And it all starts on the inside of your front door before you open that front door when you hook the leash onto her. It all starts there so that you can have this when you get out here. If you don't do that and You let her do what she undoubtedly used to do, which is to pull you out and be super excited, and she hits the street and she's ready, ready to have an episode. She's almost at her breaking point. She's overstimulated, overexcited. She's another dog or something, and she has an episode because she can barely handle the excitement. So always start the walk like this, and then you get to start your walk and have a much calmer dog. And if she sees a distraction, a dog or whatever, you can say, come. She comes your way, good girl. You can, at the very least, get her away from something, go around it, whatever. You have control over her because she's in a much calmer state of mind when you start the walk. Sit. Good girl. When you have her sit, make sure you never repeat a command. When you reward her, it's eye contact and good, straight down. She's actually looking at you in the eyes as you give her the treat. Say good at the very moment you give her the reward, because in those many times when you don't have a reward to give her and you say good to her, she'll almost think that she got a piece of food because of the way you reward her. You say it at the very moment that you give it to her at the very moment you say good, and it's kind of like doggy brainwashing. Good, like that. And then later on it's good. No. And she thinks that she got a piece, so that's why we do it that way. She wants to collapse into a down because this floor is slippery, so I'm going to reset her. Okay. Sit. And we're showing you all this stuff in a very busy area, so you can see that she has a really solid sit stay, and oh, it's okay, go. That she can handle all these different distractions, which of course a lot of dogs can't handle, so that's why we do it out here to show you how good the training is. People walking past, I'm not forcing her to stay there. That was really good though. I'm going to reward her for that. Good. And we have a stay. You don't say stay. Sit means to stay. I think we need to get it. Do you want to just go this way right here? That's cool. Are you going that way?
I don't know. I'm trying to find out where I'm going. So.
That's cool.
Should make a good trick.
Yeah. So anyway, this is the stay. She knows that when you say sit, it means to stay, so you don't have to say stay. She's waiting to be released. And the way that I release her is she waits for me to come back next to her, and then I release her with patting her chest and saying, go. And she's free. Down. If she doesn't go into a down immediately, you can always use your left foot and do this, and it'll remind her to go there. You don't have to point or snap your fingers or any of that. Obviously, she's triggered by that, and maybe not obviously, but I'm going to tell you why. Because when I was teaching her what it meant, I would apply a little bit of pressure to help her make the right choice to go into a down before she knew what down meant, and then I'd reward her. So I did that, for a couple of weeks, and now all I have to do, I don't even have to touch the leash. I just do this, and she goes down. And in a place like this where there's a lot going on, a lot of noises, distractions, all kinds of stuff, she might need a little help when you say the D-O-W-N word. And as you can see, we don't ever repeat it. So if she starts having an issue with you and she doesn't do it right away, for a little while, you might want to just do, let's say she was standing up, down, all in one motion as you say the word, because if you say it and then she ignores you and then you force her down or whatever, you can get stuck in that pattern of she waits until you force her down. So just do it for a while as you say the word. All she knows is she heard it once as she goes down there immediately, and then probably just in a couple of days, you won't have to do that part anymore. If she pops up like that, something made her nervous, you say no. Step into her, just do a little reset. Put her back. Don't say it again, you already said it once. The whole message is that, hey, if I ask you to be there for 3 or 4 minutes, that one time I told you that means to stay till you're released. So you never repeat the command. Makes the command way more powerful Good. Can you see that? So we're in the presence of a lot of distractions, which is great. You know, that thing was coming towards her and she stayed in her down stay. Obviously stay is built into down, so we don't say stay. She knows that when you say down, it means to stay there. And hi there, how you doing? And you reward her. Good. Put it between her feet. Make sure she doesn't try to take it out of your hands. Make sure she waits until you actually know. Good. Reward her. You withdraw and she takes it off the ground or the floor. And it's starting to get a little bit busy around here, but you can see what she can handle. Why don't you pan to your left to show everything that's happening. And you know, when I first started bringing her here, there's no way she could handle this. And I had to not come here for like 10 days and then teach her at a higher level of focus, better downstay, and then bring her back. Because when I first got her, she couldn't handle any kind of excitement. And she would get stressed out very easily by distractions, other people, carts, loud noises, everything you have here. But you can see, good. After a number of weeks, she's way better. She can handle stuff now. And you had an issue with her in the house, getting overstimulated, overexcited, and just being obnoxious and jumping on furniture and jumping on people. And doing this sort of stuff in the presence of exciting things, distractions, really helps you with that situation as well, because we build a high level of focus in her by practicing this in the presence of distractions. And that's going to carry over to exciting situations, distracting situations in your household. You'll be practicing these types of exercises in your home, in front of your house, in your neighborhood, when you choose to start taking her out in the public like this, you know, out in public as well. And she's going to be ready for it because of being able to practice and do these things here. So when you're going to release her out of this down, go back, stand next to her, pat your leg and say, okay. Say sit, and then release her by patting her chest and saying, go. And she's free. Sit. So I walk Roxy up to the new person, hand the new person a big handful of real yummy treats. She waits till I come back next to her. I say, go say hi, and I walk her over and she gets some treats. Good girl. I call her back to come to me. Come. Good. She has a history of being skittish at times with new people. Sit. So we practice this greeting routine a lot. And you see how we're doing it. There's a lot of structure. She pops up, you say no. You step into her, do that little do-over circle, what I call it, and gently but firmly put her back. You put her back just with a little pressure like that. And as soon as her butt hits the ground, you release it. Do it again. She has the treats. She waits in a sit stay till you come back next to her with your right hand. You pat her chest and say, go say hi. She accepts the gift from the person, gets petted a little bit maybe. Come, you say come, we're gonna do it one more time. Every time, sit. You do this greeting routine with somebody and she has this type of experience when she meets somebody new, she gets calmer and more confident about meeting a new person. You want to do it in this way that's very structured, where she's in a sit stay, she knows the person has a real nice treat for her, the person is down on her level so that she doesn't have to jump or anything to get the treat. So make sure the person is waiting for her already as she comes over, and if she's going to get petted, has the food in her mouth as she gets petted. Go say hi, just like that. She's getting petted, she's eating the treat, and then practicing come, away, good. It's best to call her while she's doing really well. Sit. So just give her a few seconds like that. She's doing really well over there. Call her back, have her sit, do it again. If you wanted to do it for a longer period of time, every time you send her over to let her stay just a little bit longer every time. Just gradually ease her into the relationship with the new person. But it's better to do short little have positive interactions like this, because that's all we're going to do with her, and end on a high note like this, than to do too much, have her start getting bored or stressed out or whatever. It's better to do little short interactions and end it while she's doing well, like we did today. And then she'll keep getting better and better. Every day she'll get a little bit better to keep doing this. Sit. We always have Roxy sit, as we lead her up to the crate, we have her sit in front of it, and then we open the door, pat her chest and say, go. She goes in her crate. She loves her crate. She goes in there, turns around, gets a reward. Why wouldn't she love it? Every association with the crate is super positive. She goes in there, she gets a treat. I reach in there. Once she's already in, take off her collar and her all her equipment, her collar and her choke chain. And right before I close the door, one more treat. Good. So every interaction that you have with her concerning the crate is very positive, and basically she gets rewards. All in her mind, the message is everything good happens inside the crate. We feed her meal in there, her meals. So she's going to be in there. You're going to get her bowl of food, and then you're going to put it in there and close the door. The door's always closed because the whole concept of the crate is that you control her access in and out of her den. Dogs, of course, are naturally den animals, so we develop the crate as their den. It's comfortable in there. She has a blanket to sleep on in there. We have the crate outside today because it's just easier for us today to do the video out here, but the crate is indoors in my living room. She's next to a couple of other dogs. They all do the same routine. They watch each other go in and out. It's a very good socialization to do it that way. They all eat at the same time next to each other, but they're all in their respective crates, so nobody can go after each other's food. It equalizes the dogs. It makes them all equal, and then we're in charge because we put them in and out of the crates and do all the other things. But everything good happens in there. If she has bones she likes to chew on, anything special, you give it to her in there. This door is always closed. It's closed when she's in, and it's closed when she's out. And you kind of turn everything around on her by like making it a very exclusive place for her to go by controlling her access in and out. Also, when she's coming out, when you're going to let her out, you want to make sure that she waits, because you don't want her, as soon as you open the door, bursting out and knocking you down. But I want to finish actually this part where I take the prong collar off and I just hang it on the door. You want to do it that way because if you just throw it down, it'll get tangled up in itself. The choke chain, which is of course always just hanging loose around her neck, is attached to the leash as well as the prong collar. And the choke chain's a lot looser. It's not for training. This would be actually damaging to her neck to use for training, but it's hanging loose there, and it's just a second collar. It's a double up so that in case the regular training collar comes off, then you don't lose the dog out in public, and this comes into play, and it's just for safety. It's not for training. The little prong collar, this is the smallest size that they make. As you can see throughout the videos, we use it in a very gentle way. It's really not supposed to cause pain. The strength of the prong collar is that it closes with the same pressure all the way around. So instead of most collars that are right there, it closes with the same pressure on the back of the neck as the front, and so therefore it's like power steering on your dog. You just do little taps, whereas with the regular collar it was a lot of pulling and struggling. The prong collar just makes it really easy for you to control her and doesn't cause her pain, as you can see throughout the videos. But you have to use it the way you see me using it. There's never a tight leash, and you use it by sending signals with the leash by tapping, not ever any consistent tension on the leash. So that's why I make the videos, so you can see exactly how to handle them. But the prong collar is very safe. You always take it off when you put her in there, especially overnight. When you're going to bring her out again, and let's say that we're going to take her for a walk, so I can just put everything on. The first thing that I do is, so I open the door and see how she'll wait. First thing I do is reward her. So if she tried to run out, I'd say no, and do that. And she'd know what that meant, and she'd wait. So first thing I'm going to do is put this little choke chain on and slip it over her head. Can you see this? You want to move a little bit this way. That's good. Okay. And then, so the choke chain is on, and then it would have been good to, before I open the door, to already be attached to the leash. So you open the door, you're all ready to go, and you just make sure that you don't let this get tangled up, that it's just hanging without being tangled up, because it won't work. If it's tangled, even just twisted one way, it's not going to work. So make sure that it's not tangled up. And then you have the leash attached to the funny looking buckle the perfectly round spacer is just that, a spacer, and you don't touch that. And then you just reach in there and put this around her neck, and these little tiny links, it's very small prong collar. It's really easy to just put it together without even looking. Good girl. I'm giving her a reward for that. Make sure that the leash comes up by her right ear, because she's going to be on your left, so you want it coming up by her right ear. And then you're ready to go. And see, she's waiting. Good. I'm rewarding her for being so good. If she tries to come out, you say nope. You might have to do this. When I'm not there anymore, when it's just you and her now, and I'm off the scene, she might test you. So make sure that she really waits there. And she's going to wait until you pat your leg and say, okay. And then she's going to come out. And of course, the first thing you do is to close this door, because you don't want her coming back in the house and racing into her crate, which she's going to want to do. So you bring her out that way, and then when you bring her back from her walk, or later on the day when you need to put her in the crate, have her sit, send her in, do it exactly like we just showed you. And it's really a training routine unto itself, the crate routine. You got a sit stay, she waits to go in somewhere she wants to go in, she gets rewarded for waiting, she respects that boundary. You control this boundary to her den, and that's why it helps you with all the other training as well. If you're the one that allows her in and out of one of her favorite places, then you must be in charge, and you must be serious in her life, and maybe she's supposed to pay attention to you in other areas as well. So that's why this crate routine is really very helpful to keep doing, and it'll actually help with a lot of the other training as well. Okay. Sit. Always have her sit in front of the mat with your right hand, pat her chest and say, go to your mat, walk over with her and say down. So make sure you walk over with her and then say down. If she didn't go down for some reason, just do that. Make sure she goes down when you say down. And then the whole idea is that no matter where you go, what you do, she stays on the mat. Good. She gets rewarded like that. You place it on the mat. Make sure she's not trying to grab it out of your hands. Make sure she's not touching your hand at all. She's really respectfully, good, waiting like that. See how she's a little bit crooked? You could get her to stand up and reset her to be directly on the mat, or you could take a little of this reward here and you could lure her like this, and then see how her body turns, and then you can sort of draw her like that. Good, and then give it to her. Make sure after all of that you end up giving it to her at the end. So now she's more in the middle of the mat because you sort of like lured her to be in the right position. And then, you start off this exercise just doing simple stuff like walking around her. Just a downstay, simple downstay. What's great about this mat is without the mat now, she does this. And the only reason she can do that stuff out in public is because we started practicing this mat from day one. She learned this behavior really quickly, and then we started doing it in other places and without the mat. And so now she can do this without the mat as well. But the mat is a very powerful exercise to continue doing, because wherever you do this mat exercise, and it has to be on the mat, she'll start perceiving that area as more of the calm zone, where she's calmer, she's focused on you. If you do this, for example, in your living room every day for 5 minutes, and you don't have to do it any longer than 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes of a solid downstay. That's a very high level of focus and a period of time, a long period of time to be in a stay and to be focusing on you. For the most part, even though she's a very unfocused puppy, she's still a puppy, she's not even 10 months old yet, but she can be very focused on whoever's doing this mat exercise. Good, and she has to be focused in order to get rewarded, because she has to wait till I place it there, withdraw, and then she gets the reward. So you see, I'm just walking around her. If she ever made a mistake and pops up, which you said, let's say she pops up, you say no. Step on that leash, she'll go back down. She leaves the mat, you say no. You step into her, do a little left circle, put her back. She's going to be on this side of you. Put her back. Go back to doing what you were doing. Continue the exercise and get a success the next time. If she makes a mistake and you put her back down, don't give her a treat, because that's a mistake. Don't reward her for making a mistake. only reward her for doing it the right way. Since we're in a fenced yard, I can show you some of the things we do. Once you've got this part down, then you can start doing things that are a little bit harder for her to handle, like walking farther away from her. So I'm going to go over here, show me going over here, going out of this gate, closing it, going out onto the street, and then show her as I do that. Going through the second gate. Now I'm disappearing, she can't even see me anymore. Now I'm going to go back. Just going to do a few things just as an example, and so to show you how good she is at this. She gets a big reward. Always reward her the same way, and be calm when you reward her. So I didn't run up to her. I'm not making her really excited by talking to her a lot. If I wasn't talking to you, I wouldn't be saying anything, but walking up to her, good, saying good as she takes the reward. Now I'll go behind her. And you know, if you're ever going to do something that you think would be difficult for her to handle, it's okay before you do it to remind her what to keep doing. So I'm going to say down to remind her, since we don't say stay, and go through this gate. You want to show me doing this? And then show her. And she did turn her head a little bit. I'm going to not call that a mistake. She still stayed down, didn't run over to me. But always come back in front of her and always reward her the same way in the same spot in front of her. Good. Make sure she waits. If she tries to touch your hand or take the food out of your hand, you pull back and say no. And she knows what that means, and she'll stop and she'll wait, and then she'll do it this way. So do it exactly the way we're doing it here. The way to get her off the mat, pick up the leash, stand next to her, pat your leg and say, okay. Walk her off the mat, have her sit, and then release her from a calm sit stay. Go. And then make sure you pick up this mat right away, because she's going to want to go hang out on it, and it's a very exclusive spot. This is not a doggy bed. It's not something you allow her to walk over or hang out on, or chew a bone on or whatever. This is only for that one exercise. You put it down wherever you're going to do it, your porch or your living room. You go get her out of the crate or from outside, wherever she is, on a leash. Make sure that you control her access on, have her sit, allow her on. Do it exactly the way we did it here. Control her access off, you allow her off, and then maybe take her somewhere and then come back and pick it up, or if somebody's there with you, they pick it up immediately. It's a much more powerful exercise if she only goes on the mat when you allow her on, and only comes off when you allow her to come off. So do it exactly the way we did it here, and she'll keep getting better. It's a very calming exercise to do, and you can see how much calmer she is after being here for a while and practicing that every day. Okay.